Hi friends, you're here. I'm super glad you're with me today. We have something exciting to talk about. As you know, I love a full face palette. I love something multitasking. I am always just a moth to a flame when it comes to one of these kinds of things. And this one's from Laura Geller. It's a full face palette in very compact packaging. This one's called RSVP Ready Big Night Out Full Face Palette. So when you unfold it, as is the style with many of these, you've got multiple panels of makeup. This one actually has a magnified mirror and a regular mirror on the end, but we're going to be applying everything today. This is going to be my first time using it. It just came in the mail, and it seems at this time, at the time I'm shooting this on Thursday morning, it appears to only be available on Laura Geller's website. I don't know if QVC is going to be offering this. I also don't know if maybe another brand is going to come in doing one of these, because if you're not in tune with the history of this kind of product, It Cosmetics did it first for QVC, and then for multiple years after, they were putting out a different full face holiday palette, had a little different look on the outside, and it was full of great It Cosmetics makeup, just in this very same style. And then for 1 or 2 years, Laura Geller did one for QVC, and then last year, Tarte did. Tarte did a wonderful palette last holiday season. I continue to keep it up here and handy. They did a great grouping of like Amazonian clay products. You had cream blushes, eyeshadows, brow colors, setting powder, bronzer, and they had cream concealer in there. So you're literally just like adding foundation and mascara and you've got a look. Many of us agreed this one was great last year. So it remains to be seen if this is going to make its way over to QVC or if another brand is going to do one. But for right now, this is what we have. I'm a big Laura Geller fan. I love her products. So we'll see if this palette can be up there with my opinion of so many other things that Laura Geller makes. So I have nothing but skincare on my face right now, and I think I'm going to do a powder foundation look with Laura Geller in mind. I'm going to use my Baked Double Take powder foundation. A lot of people think Baked Balance and Brighten, which is a great product, but this one actually has some more coverage and I haven't used it in a while. So I'm going to be using that, but first off, I'm going to prime. I'm using my Rimmel Multitasker Primer just because I've, been trying to experiment with this daily with different products. Squeeze some out. It's just a clear, like gel-like primer, but it does have a little bit of thickness. Definitely hydrates, but it's not ultra sticky, which I like. Then for me, if I'm going to do a powder foundation, I'll go in with my concealer first. This is e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Light Peach. So this is going to go, of course, around the under eye area, outsides of the eye, get some redness around my nose. It's going to be kind of our coverage workhorse, and then the powder foundation is going to do some covering too. Morphe M132. So some of these palettes, like you saw last year's, Tarte's did contain the concealer. This one does not have concealer in it, so we're using our own, which is okay. Another great thing about Tarte's last year was that there were multiple shade options, which is really a new thing to this palette concept. So if you're wondering, like, how would those concealers work for everyone? Well, you could choose. And I think they had like 4 different options. It was great. So as someone who has regularly kept up with these palettes, I felt like that one was possibly one of the best, if not the very best, that had been made. Okay, I've got that concealer mostly blended, and then I'm going to take a little bit bigger brush. This is just my Profusion buffing brush, and dab over. I feel like this kind of keeps the coverage intact when you bring in a slightly larger brush that can just kind of bop over everything. Now here's the thing, we do have a setting powder in here in this palette, and I think I might really try to use that to set my under eye. Biscuit's in the house. Hello, honey. I'm going to use my little triangle powder puff and just go into that and see what we get. Just getting right up on that concealer. It's not ultra brightening on it, but it's okay. Like, it's not dulling me down, but it's not really taking me up a notch either. If you have access to your favorite brightening powder, you might use that, but I might just take this all over my look as kind of a finishing step. But you don't know till you try. See, it did kind of help smooth out, added maybe a little coverage. Just wanted to see. Then we're going to go into our Baked Double Take. Like I said, I have medium in this. This is Laura Geller's fuller coverage powder foundation option, and I'm also going to use Laura Geller's retractable angled brush. Works really well. Load up the brush, just kind of like, you don't need to rub around it, but just stamp into it. And then I start down here and just begin buffing in, getting lighter and lighter really with what's being applied as I get toward the under eye because I've already put product there, right? But I'm going over like half the face so far, and you can see it's very smoothing, really gave a lot of nice coverage. Just kind of buffing on and then really taking care to be just stamping as we get closer to that under eye. I've actually seen a lot of videos on my TikTok feed where people are mentioning this little palette, so maybe there's going to be a little more interest in it or a little more awareness of it as I do this video today. But this is the flaw of TikTok. There's just not enough time to really dig in a super detailed way. You know, I do think the short videos have their place, but I'm always going to be a talk for 20 minutes or so kind of girl at heart. But this is super pretty. It's very matte, but I always like the coverage this product gives, and this brush is really nice for it too. This is good if you use Balance and Brighten as well, and it's retractable, so look, she goes back into her little home, good for travel. Now we can start getting into what's in the palette. We do have cream blush and highlighter, so it's a whole cream panel right here, and lip creams, powder bronzer, an ombre blush, setting powder, and then all these eyeshadows. And then like we said, this mirror, which the larger part of this mirror is a 5x magnification mirror. It's really good. I think that's so cool. And then the bottom part gives you just a regular mirror. But now that my face coverage is done, what I'm going to be going into first is the powder bronzer. I'm going to use my Sephora 93 brush here. It's the angled brush. And while Laura Geller is very much known for her baked formula, she tends to do a very good powder formula just with regular products too. This I feel like is plenty pigmented. I got so much use out of that Tarte one. We had the holidays and then we were getting right into cheer competition season and a lot of travel, and it was just really, really handy for me. And I really liked the color selection. The concealers could work for me in there. Like, it was just good stuff. This is good. It felt a little warm when I took that swipe on the other cheek, but it seems to blend in and really make sense on my skin actually. And I don't know why I keep forgetting to use this brush for my bronzer. I love this Morphe M241 for bronzer, but sometimes I just forget to pick it up and I grab the Sephora one. Now on blush, you know we're gonna have to try both. We've got a cream and a powder, so we're gonna have to get to the cream first. There's no name for it, it just says cream blush. I'm putting my finger in. It feels a lot like a Milani Cheek Kiss, just at the touch, a very standard formula cream blush. It feels ultra creamy and you're getting a massive pan of it. So I'm gonna go in with my little Sephora 56 and just dab this in. I don't think there's gonna be any struggle to blend this formula, but I'm really pleased with that level of pigment there. That's great. No struggle to make it show up. I mean, I just applied kind of an average amount and that's looking good to me. And then we can layer the powder over top, or you could just choose one or the other. You might say, well, Em, I'm concerned that creams and palettes like this are just gonna dry out. And with time, they probably will, but there are some palettes I've had on hand for years and I don't know how, they've been used plenty and the creams aren't drying out. Beautiful, really youthful, pure classic pinky blush. And then we want to try this ombre one, which the ombre is very gentle, but it is there. And that kind of lets you customize what you do with that blush intensity wise. Like it could be a very soft pink or it could be more rich. Just a swatch in here, it looks like, man, that is giving the exact tone of Milani Mai Tai blush. Does anybody remember that from back in the day? That was like a blush I was hitting pan on, completely obsessed with that peachy pink color, and that's what I see when I swatch this actually. There's a little more warmth in this pink compared to the cream blush shade, but I'm going to dab over everything. Oops, she's got pigment too. Okay. Thank you, Laura Geller. Even though it's not a baked blush, she still knows what we expect. I got a little more toward the light ombre there, so I'm going to have to match the other cheek. Nice. Okay, now we also have cream highlighter in this palette. A huge pan of that right under the cream blush. It's feeling a lot like the cream blush in the texture actually. I'm just getting a little bit of this on. It's very pearly. I feel like once it's blended out, it's not going to create like any goopy texture issues. I kind of reserve this little Real Techniques brush for any cream highlighters that I use. It's just a little more compact than the Sephora 56. I really like what that's doing because my skin really had so much powder on it. I used powder foundation today, going in with other powder products, giving a really gentle glow. If there's anything else on my brush, I'll let it come up a little bit. That's really nice. And then finally for face, the setting powder right up here, which as you saw, we targeted that on the under eye area. I'm not sure I'd do that again unless I really needed to. And even if I did need to, I might use a brush for it, brush application, because it's just not the absolute most brightening thing. But I do think it could be super perfect just lightly setting the whole face. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take that all over. This is my little Profusion round tapered powder brush. This is in the trio of face brushes that are sold at Walmart, along with the one that I use to buff in foundation. Just a little perfecting setting powder. I'm thinking about using it like I do Cloud Set. Nice. I even went over the cheek a little bit and I've still got some glow. That gives you an idea of how light of an application of powder I'm using here. Really good. So something I've been really pleased with here is the pigment on these face steps. Like, I didn't feel like anything was not enough. I felt like it was ample. Look what they've done. They've labeled a segment liner / brow right up here, these shades. And those could very well be eyeshadows too, I'm sure. And then at the bottom it says eyeshadow, but those say liner brow. So I'm gonna do that. Sometimes with these palettes, what it's gonna come back to is, are they including the products that you find important? For example, like on the Tarte palette, not that this is an option to buy this year, but I'm just saying, like, something I really liked about it. For example, this panel. I loved how we had a couple different blush options and they were powder, and then our creams were a little bit smaller up here. And then like there was bronzer and setting powder, and then they gave us cream concealer. I liked that layout. I liked a little less real estate given to the creams. Here Laura Geller's saying we're giving you a whole entire cream panel. Is that important to you, or would you rather not see that? You know, that might dictate your choices here. I think I'm going to go into this cool brown, kind of neutral brown, right in the middle of the top row. Ooh, a lot coming off on my brush. Just using this little angled brush. This is another Profusion brush. I really am trying to get to drugstore mode with all of my brushes. I am super loyal to that darn Sephora 56. I think it's so good and so perfect for cheeks, but I've been asked like what's something similar from the drugstore, and I think if you got a Real Techniques Expert face brush, you'd find that it's very similar. I'm gonna be trying a little Real Techniques holiday set that should be coming in the mail soon. It's like a mini set. I think it looks very promising. I got an Ulta order where there's definitely going to be some stuff I test out. This is working well. This color is perfect for a blonde like that shade, or for somebody with more warmth in their hair, like right in here maybe would be good. I took my kids to a place we have here in Southern Illinois called the Science Center. Nana came with us too. Dad was gonna come, but he was getting a new car. But we hadn't been there in some time. And they made so many like additions and improvements, and it was just the coolest. I think we're gonna have to buy a membership. Every Wednesday is free there, but I think they're gonna want to be able to just go whenever, and I think it's super educational. And Biddy in particular is so into science. You know, she wants to be a meteorologist, and they had some cool like weather activities and just fun stuff. Very hands-on. I think kids love the idea of getting in somewhere and just being able to roam and do what you want. As usual, the left brow is really making me work for it, but it's not the fault of this product. This is a really pigmented powder, and I feel like a little goes a long way. But I feel like I've pretty well got the brow filled in. Now, we don't have anything to set the brow, but that's okay. We'll provide that. I'll use my Morphe micromanager here. So when we're talking, what other products do you need in addition to this palette if you were traveling? If you're into primer, you'd take a primer, you'd take some kind of foundation product, whether that's a powder foundation, tinted moisturizer, liquid foundation. You would use your own concealer as well. Setting powder could be something you provide, or use the one that's in this palette. But then you're taking off with all your face colors, it's all included. You would take your brow gel, you would take an eye primer, Milani eye primer. That's what I'm putting on here. Liner wouldn't have to be taken because you could use some of these deeper shades as liner, you know, but bring a mascara. They have included some lip products. What do you think about lip being included in these palettes? I kind of like how Tarte did it last year because they did kind of a sneaky cream lip cheek. Okay, so you could be using that as a cream blush or a lip color. Made it feel a little more multitasking. Honestly, I bet these lip creams could be other shades of blushes too. Goes both ways, doesn't it? Let's get into the eyeshadows. Overall, it's a kind of cool shadow spread, wouldn't you say? Color-wise, we've got a little bit of plum. It's mostly matte. I would say our shimmers are here with this taupe, soft gold, really warm tan shimmer there, and then a champagne-y shimmer. So 4 out of the 3, 6, 9, 12 are shimmers. I'm grouping these in with the 12 of the eyeshadows because I think they can totally be shadows too if you want them to be. I think I'm going to go down to this corner, this little matte shade right here. And you see how the shades either have like that little kind of textured pattern or they say LG, in case you're wondering what you're seeing there. I'm liking the magnified mirror. It's kind of nice. Eyeshadow feels really soft and pigmented. I am tapping off a little excess. The nice thing that happens when you do fold up a palette like this is that you have a flat panel going up against every layer. So you're not worried about makeup butting right up against other makeup. They've figured that out, haven't they? Okay, sticking with that shade, I'm adding a little more right here. Good. I might blend out the edge with just a little bit of this matte creamy shade. I like the way that buffed the edge. That's a nice quality shade. There's a nice smoothness with these. As always, I'm going to want to see if the dark shades can actually be nice and dark. I'm really wanting to know about the plum in there, so let's take that with a flat brush. Okay, she's showing up dark. Love that intensity, for sure. I'm using my Morphe M303, which allows me to not only get it placed on the outer lid, but I feel like the tip of the brush guides the shadow up into the crease without me even really trying. All I really ask among the shadows that get included in these palettes, like I don't mind if it goes cooler or a little warmer. If they want to put in a few colors, that's fine. I just want range of light to dark, and fortunately this one has it, even without me going into sort of the hybrid brow eyeshadow shades up top that seem a little deeper. I feel like there's plenty of options to go rich with this. I love that plummy color. I want to even see a little bit of the black as eyeshadow just to see, because I don't know that a ton of people are gonna be finding themselves even using that shade in the brows. I don't know, maybe. But maybe it's a liner shade for some of us. I will come in with that. I just wanted to see like how that plays with the eyeshadows because it seems really rich. And I'm just kind of like popping it in the outermost corner. I want to see a little bit of this warm shade down here because overall, like the spread of shades does seem kind of on the cool side, but this one's pretty warm. I'd like to see a little bit of that come up on the edge. The pigment is great. Just letting that kind of rise up. It's a little bit of sheen in it, but not a lot. I feel like my black just looks a little bit just popped in the crease there, like I need to guide it inward a little. I'm going to that dark cool brown with the flat brush and just making sure everything looks blended there with the darkness. I'm just dabbing it on the outer part of my eyelid. And then I'd like to see some of this pretty shimmery taupe going inward. So I'm going to use my Morphe M302 there. Shimmer's looking good. Looking quite silvery. That applied so nicely. Another thing we can try is the champagne color down here. That's a shimmer. Sorry, it got cut off by my memory card, but what I went ahead and did is I went around my inner corner with that light shimmer, and I was saying there is a pure like white shadow pretty much in there too. Very brightening white. What I would also do is maybe take a little bit of this cool medium brown and let's swipe that on the lower lash line just so you can see without pulling in a lot of other products. I want you to see mostly what this palette's doing. Super good shade for that. Look what that just does for the eyes. Next thing I would do, I'm cleaning off my brow brush a little bit here, and I'm going to use that little fine liner brush and go into the black and use that as my eyeliner. It does seem like a really pigmented black. I was swatching it on my finger a second ago. Just something to go along the lash line real easily. Even if it's just the outer part. Like, I don't really want to cover up a lot of my pretty shimmer there, but you could use this shade. There's a nice deep cool brown. You could go to the plum. Any shade can become lighter. I think when we're just thinking staying power, probably the ones with the most rich deep pigment are the ones that are going to hang on the best. I think that eye looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to curl my lashes, put on my mascara, and we will finish things off with the lip colors. I'm in love with the eye. I really like that taupey sheen coming off there. I like the depth in the outer corner. I use this Too Faced Ribbon Wrap mascara. It's a tubing mascara on my top and bottom lashes. And now we're ready to move on to the lip colors. We have 3 different shades. I'm going to swatch them on my hands. They do seem fully pigmented, like a cream lipstick. I always wonder why these palettes veer so pinky with their color choice. Doesn't it always seem like it's pinks? There they are, just swatched in the order they appear in the palette. We have kind of a deeper rose, a true classic pink, and then kind of a nude type of shade there, I guess. You could, of course, use a lip brush to put these on if you want to, or you could just use your finger. I'm going to go with that like more nude color. I'll probably blend a couple. But they do seem to be like pretty much what you see is what you get. Like, as you could see, the swatches, there's no sheerness in these. They're like a lipstick. See, there's that more nude one all over. That looks pretty. What if I took a little bit of the darker pink and kind of blended it? Then you're going to get more of a mauve, maybe? I like those two blended. Do we like that? Yes. So there we go, guys. That's my finished look with the Laura Geller RSVP Ready Big Night Out Full Face Palette. I love a full face palette. I just love the concept overall. But I do like what this one in particular is doing for me. I think there was no lack of pigment in anything. So that's satisfying to see. However, unlike the Tarte one that I reviewed last year, you don't have shade options. Now, they're not including concealer in here, so it might not be as essential to have the different shade options, but it might be cool for people to have like a more intense panel right here where the face colors are, and maybe even some different offerings over here. Just saying, you know, Tarte kind of opened our eyes to the fact that that was a really cool thing. But I love the eyeshadow panel, really. I think that's for sure been Laura Geller's best eyeshadow offering in any of these palettes she's done. The pigment is so there. I like the selection of shades. I like the opportunity to go, you know, kind of dramatic with it like I did today. You could go more dramatic even, or you could go much more natural and everyday by just combining like a couple of these soft shades. I think it's cool that there's a magnified mirror in there and then a regular mirror. I was overall pleased with the powders. I'm not upset that this setting powder is maybe not going to be my first choice up on the under eye area, because I still like having a powder that I feel like I can go all over my face with to set things. So that can do that step. These were plenty pigmented for me. And there was plenty of pigment from the cream panel too. You might just ask yourself, do I want to have a whole sector of creams here? Like, some people might just be like, I never wear cream blush or cream highlighter. That's not important to me. And maybe that's a deal breaker for the whole palette for you. For me, I would err on the side of like more powders in the palette, kind of the way Tarte did it last year. I felt like they snuck in those concealers. I liked having the concealers in there, actually. They were good tones for me. But then they just had a couple cream blushes and everything else was more powder. I don't find it essential that we have lip colors in a palette like this. Like, I'm cool with pulling in my own, although I do really like that color. And I'm just really pleased with the whole look. I mean, our base for this look, it was the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, but then powder foundation all over. And I just feel like I look so full glam right now with it all. But another great thing Laura Geller did that, again, it kind of got under my radar at first. I wasn't expecting this, but brow and liner shades right up there. And those can also be more dramatic eyeshadows for you. So I say thumbs up, Laura Geller. It's something I will totally continue to use. I love the compact size that this type of palette folds down to become. And then we're talking just adding in concealer, maybe some kind of foundation, brow gel and mascara. This could be a great giftable product to somebody who's into makeup. Maybe somebody who's even just getting started and would like to be supplied with a lot of different steps all at once without having to purchase purchase a lot of individual products. This is a really nice quality kit. So I'm glad I purchased it. I think it was well worth the 40 some dollars. How much was that on Laura Geller's website? Let me double check now. I got it for $49. That's usually about the standard price. If one of these palettes appeared on QVC's website, that's pretty much what you'd be paying. But I will continue to keep my eye out if any other brands put out a palette like this. Like we said earlier, sometimes It Cosmetics does one, Tarte did one last year. We'll see what continues to trickle out for the holidays this year. But thank you all so much for your time, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.